Welcome everyone to another episode of our Wisdom of the Heart video series. And today we have a very interesting topic. We're looking at a couple of chapters in A Course of Love. And let me hold up the book here so you can see what it looks like. This is A Course of Love. And this is actually the second edition. And the first receiver is Mari Perrone. But as A Course of Love tells us later on, we're all receivers of this sacred text and all sacred text. And there's really no one special. And so that's kind of like leading into our topic today. We're going to be talking about specialness, looking at a couple chapters, the special self, special relationships, and all that engenders in the world today. And also, Course of Love is actually an invitation for us to leave a specialness behind. And we're going to look at that, and it's a movement into placing our faith in something new, which is the love of who we are on a sustained and widespread basis. So anyway, let me introduce our guest for today, Kathleen Queener, also known as Kathy Queener. And she's joining us from San Diego, California. And so welcome, Kathy, to the Wisdom of the Heart video series. And this is your first time on, so it's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. I'm excited to be here, and I'm so excited to share a little bit about specialness and a little bit about love. And I think the point you made about something new, it's not just leaving specialness behind, but opening to something new. And that something new would be the love of humanity, the love of all mankind, the love, some call it agape love that's beyond the personal specialness that we commonly think of as love. I mean, commonly we're thinking of love as, I love this person, I love that person. We don't think of it as a larger entity. We think of it strictly as loving those in our life. So I wanted to start with the idea that without a desire for specialness, there would be no war, for there would be no reason to break the peace. And no land would be considered more special to some than to others. No resources would be withheld. No peoples would be deemed subservient. And wealth would be the happy state of everyone. For without specialness to feed, there would be neither want nor hunger. Now, these are dramatic, bold statements. No war, no want, no hunger. Can this be true if we just give up specialness? Well, that's what we're here to possibly learn about and maybe integrate into our lives. And there may be good reasons for this, because I'm going to read just a couple more lines. And that is that the desire for specialness, it's what calls our little self into being. And that is the self that's easily wounded and that takes on grievances and refuses to give them up. And it's the self that's prone to pettiness and bitterness and resentment and even deception. So those are lines right from the Course of Love. And what I believe the Course of Love is trying to direct us to is to show us, to help upend this desire for specialness within us, so that we can open our heart more fully and experience what love really is, because there's a chance that we don't really know what love is. And that's what this is about. It's apparently love is going to come again, and we need not, we don't want to make the same response that we had before. We want to know what love is, and we want to feel love, we want to express it, and we want love. We want more love in this world, and it starts with us being able to drop the specialness and or step away from specialness and to embrace the rest of ourself, because that is ourself that we are denying.
And so I love that you said it starts with ourselves, and that I'm responsible for doing my own inner work. Because as we all know, from these sacred teachings, that when we're healed, we're never healed alone. And just one little moment of healing that I have within myself actually is a blessing that goes out for everyone.
Yeah, just in response to that, I was going to say, and the being gentle and kind with ourselves as well. Give ourselves slack. It's not, we won't be doing this tomorrow. We're not going to be dropping specialness today and loving the rest of the universe tomorrow, most likely. I mean, it'd be great.
Yeah.
But being gentle with ourselves, being kind to ourselves, because we know that gentleness and kindness are aspects of our true self, whose other name is God.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that too, because I feel that, the meeting of what is, like you said, the gentleness and the kindness to ourselves in this moment, the meeting of what is the direct experience of what's happening right now is a meeting of compassion and tenderness.
I would definitely like to point out that, and I don't know when this became such an overriding feeling within me that kind of supersedes everything that I want to think about my spiritual path. But the idea that God is love, and that this is a course of love, and it's not just a course of love to teach us love, but it's a course of love. Here's some love. That's how I see it. This is love. Everything about it is love. It emanates love. And knowing that God is love is huge. And all of the other adjectives that we would want to describe God, that is described, that God is described as in this material, is kindness and gentleness. And there's no guilt, there's complete forgiveness. There's one of the things, it's just the idea of God as love, and allowing myself to keep feeling the love, and asking for God to just as I sit quietly, just being open to feeling the love that God is, because it resides in each one of us. And so we're coming to a point where love is the love, and the love that we are able to feel within ourselves, the love that we are able to know that we are, the love that helps us remember who we are, because it's only love that will help to transform, just like you're saying, and that love can only come from within us. So and we don't need to worry about anybody else's love. We don't need to worry about, are they loving? We don't need to judge. We just need to make sure that we are here allowing ourselves, like you say, to let everything in us come up, whatever we're feeling. Don't deny anything. Allow it to come up, but allow it to be embraced by the love that we know that we are. So, and I think that is what will keep this planet afloat, as it were. It will be held together by love. It is held together by love, and it'll be lifted up by love. It'll be, it's nice to have an idea of heaven. Definitely, it's nice to have an idea of heaven. And it's nice to have an idea of heaven on earth. But the only way that we will have heaven on earth is by remembering who we are, and that is our reality. And so I like your idea, Lynn, of only doing the inner work and definitely not projecting our issues, our fears outward.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can, like I said, I feel like we can only get there by doing the inner work. You know, it's like with the Course in Miracles, it says, you know, the goal of this course is removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So we're always connected, but we're not always aware. At least I'm not. And so it's just that constant vigilance and the cultivation of that awareness that, you know, I'm always connected to love, to God, to the true self, our true nature. And when I move away from that, that's when I seem to get into trouble. But yeah, maybe we could, yeah, go ahead.
No, I love the idea that we can't lose it too.
Yeah.
We can't lose it. What you're saying, that connection, it's impossible to lose. It's impossible for you to lose, for me to lose, for anyone to lose that connection. So every single being that's on this earth right now has the ability to connect with their God self, with their self of love. And as we, like you were saying, as we connect with our self of love, it does radiate out. And there will be, you know, again, Course in Miracles oftentimes talks about what we do by ourselves will make a bird with broken wings start singing again, make a long dry brook start to run again. You know, it has effect that you can't even possibly know, you couldn't possibly trace, but it has effect nonetheless.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's lesson 109. I rest in God. And actually, that's two of my favorite lines in the whole Course in Miracles. Is it says, when I rest, the world is at rest. And when I'm in my heart space, it, you know, that's what radiates out to everyone. And so what an incredible service that I can do to the whole planet by doing my own inner work. And, you know, I was just going to say, maybe we should move back a little bit to specialness and talk a little bit more about that and how, you know, what exactly, you know, what I'm hearing in it all, like we were talking earlier, is like, it's not about saying that, you know, I can't love my family or my friends and like they're not, you know, they're not special to me. But what I'm seeing is in all of this, it's like everyone's special and no one is special. It's like, yeah, I mean, I have certain forms of relationships and I spend more time with certain people. I mean, that's normal. But it's like in the bigger agape love, like you were talking about, like it's no one is excluded though. So everyone's special, but then no one is special because the love radiates out to everyone and no one's left out.
Yeah, well, and that's one of, I'll just share that paragraph of let us ask instead how loving all as one can bring harm. If you love all the same, what loss is there to anyone, including the one you would choose to make special? All that is lost is specialness. And so I would say that it's not even a loss to us. Yes, the only loss is specialness, but it's not a loss to us, because in truth, specialness does nothing for us. We think it might, and we think that we're doing someone a favor by making them special, but in truth, we kind of hold the ones that we love to a greater standard than anybody else. You know, we expect more, and we kind of hold the ones we love in the greatest bondage, if you think of, and call that bondage a relationship. I mean, we wouldn't be special to some people if we didn't look a certain way, or make a certain amount of money, or maybe spend it on that person, or and we, you know, it depending on someone's role in our lives,
Yeah.
We might not be special to them if we didn't do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a chore. It's kind of an obligation, specialness
Yeah.
is. And it's a freedom. I say that not only can we feel freer as we let go of specialness, but our heart can expand and start filling more with love, because we are loving all as one. And there's so much to love. There's the entire universe and universes of love for us to actually to feel. And again, I think it's so easy to say God is love. God is love. Yeah, God is love. It doesn't really mean anything, but to start feeling what that means, what God being love actually means, and how not to be afraid of God, and not to be worried about God judging us, or thinking that, yeah, everybody else can be forgiven, but I don't know, look what I did. Can I be forgiven? Just letting go all those thoughts of what God is not, and allowing ourselves to feel what God really is. And then we know what love really is.
Yeah.
Or feel what love really is, we're going to know what God really is. And there's a freedom and a relaxation that comes from that, from being able to, because it's loving without fear.
Yeah, there you go. That's beautiful. If I go within to the true self, my true nature, that's where the true response comes. And then I know what to do. I may say no, and that's another thing. Sometimes it's a yes and sometimes it's no, but it can be an authentic no. That's not mean or hateful. It's just no. It's not okay. Without being hateful or mean about it, because it's authentic. It's a genuine, authentic no. This is not okay. That's all. So I think that's important, that this is not about being a Pollyanna.
Right. And I love what you said about authenticity too, because that, again, authenticity is kind of key. If we're being our authentic self, then we are definitely not being in judgment. We know that's not a part of our authentic self. Judgment isn't, it doesn't help to judge. It doesn't help us at all. It doesn't, yeah. So I love the idea of our authentic self.
Yeah.
And knowing and residing in it, and even knowing. But again, like you said, the inner work, we have to know, we have to meet, we have to kind of get acquainted with our authentic self again, because we've kind of done a lot of different byways and roadways. And so just coming back to the center, and knowing that the center is love, and love feels good. I don't think anybody would deny that love feels good.
Yeah, and it goes back to being okay with what is arising in this moment. It's the whole experience, meeting that with compassion in this moment. Even if I'm having a trigger or a reaction, instead of projecting that out and getting caught up in a story, I can look at that within myself and be willing to allow it to be brought to the holy place of the heart. As A Course of Love says in A Course in Miracles, it's the true forgiveness. It's brought to the Holy Spirit, to the place of the heart that's being held in love, and everything is transmuted there. And so it's not about denying any of it. And yeah, I think that's so important. I was just going to say I had a personal experience I wanted to share real quick, where it happened at the beginning of this week. I walked out of where I lived, in my condo place, and I walked downstairs, and there were two guys in the parking lot in a fist fight. And I never see this where I live, never. And they were just going at it. They were just, throwing punches at each other. And there were a couple of girls standing by saying, stop, stop, And, when I walked up to it and I started to witness all this, I just felt a calmness within myself. It's like I didn't feel any impetus to say anything or do anything. I just stood there and I just felt a calmness, and I just sort of like was there in the space. And the next thing I know, they were on the ground. One of them was on top of the other one. And, they were throwing punches. And then all of a sudden, it just stopped. And they both got up. And the one that was on the bottom, when he was on the ground, the other one was on top of him. He stood up to the other one and he said, "One of these days, I'm going to put a bullet in you."
Woo.
And, I just stood there and I didn't feel guided to do anything. I felt like there was a calmness there, and they both turned away, and one of them started walking toward me, and I looked at him and I said, "Are you guys okay here?" And he smiled at me. He said, "Yeah, we're okay." And then the other one turned over and looked at me, and he said, he didn't really say anything. And I said to him, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, we're good." And it just like all dissipated. And it's like everybody left and there was a smile on everybody's face and they were like, "We're all okay, we're good." And it was just kind of like a weird experience that I've never seen this before where I live. And I just walked out into the middle of it. And I didn't have any desire to say or do anything. And my response was just to stay there and just be calm. And then eventually it all fell away. It all dissipated.
I love that. I love that you were being a silent witness to the love in them by not feeling any other way about it, and by feeling your calmness, which was coming from your loving center, and not adding anything to it. I'm going to say that you affected that situation by not trying to affect it, but by silently witnessing, by just being in the love that you are, and silently witnessing what was going on. The love that you were bringing to the situation without any other anything. It was simply love, called to the love in them, is what I'm going to say. It called to the love in them and strengthened their real self. And the situation was able to just, diffuse the way it was. I love the way it ended with you asking each one how they were, and smiles. I just love that. Yeah, I love that. And I love that you weren't afraid. You weren't making them wrong.
Yeah.
You were just simply loving. And love doesn't have to be, it doesn't mean that we have to get involved in people's personal lives. Like, you didn't have to know why these guys were fighting. Loving all as one does not mean that we have to start buying everybody's kids a birthday present. Loving all as one doesn't,
I was going to say, it's not getting caught up in that story. That's it. It's leaving the commentary behind.
And it doesn't mean that we have to now start feeling bad for everyone on the planet if they're not having a good day or anything like that, because it just means that we have to recognize that they are part of us. That they are part of us. And if we're denying that a whole segment of ourself, we can't feel whole ourselves. So leaving specialness behind is a gift. It's a gift that gives us a greater awareness of who we are, what God is, and how love can guide our lives and steer our lives in ways that we would never have dreamed. I mean, wouldn't you say that your acquiescence to the love within you, has sent you on pathways, set you on pathways that you would not have dreamed of?
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. And it's a matter of following those internal prompts. Like, a lot of times I'll get the internal prompt, but I don't always move on it or move with it. So it's more than just, the internal prompt, but do I have the willingness to go with it, to go with it and follow it. And for some reason that day, I had the prompt to go to the store, and I followed it and just spontaneously just walked downstairs out of the blue, and there it was. But anyway, yeah, so we are coming up on our time, Kathy. And so I wanted to see if you wanted to have share with us any last minute thoughts, or personal experience, something that you wanted to share before we close.
Well, I just want to say, and this will be from the Course of Love, that what this is, I'll read it. So this is: while you desire specialness for yourself, your true self will remain hidden and unknown. And since this is a course, this Course of Love, there's many different books of Course of Love. Since this is a course that seeks to reveal our true identity, or your true identity, it must be seen before, it must be seen for what it is. Specialness must be seen for what it is, so that you'll desire it no longer, because we can have specialness or our true self, but never both. So it's important. It's important because we can have specialness or our true self, but never both.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And yeah, and so I think that's going to be all we have for today. And those chapters are in the first book of A Course of Love. If you have the combined volume, Kathy has the individual volumes, but the combined volume is what most people are reading today. So chapter 14 in the first book is special relationships, and then chapter 15 is the special self, and chapter 16 is what we choose instead. And so those 3 chapters are really good if you're looking for something to read on specialness. Chapter 14, 15, 16 in the first book, A Course of Love. So thank you, everyone. That's all the time we have. And I really appreciate all our viewers out there, and likes and subscribes. And if yeah, so peace and love, grace and blessings to all. And thank you again, Kathy, for joining us. And again, we'll have you back on at some time in the future if you follow the prompt and you're guided.
Well, thank you so much, Lynn. Much love to you and to everyone who may view this.
Thank you.